It's strange how life has a way of circling back to the very places you thought you'd left behind. You convince yourself you've chosen right. You move on, build a life, tuck your regrets into quiet corners of your heart. And then, one evening, out of nowhere, you find yourself sitting across from the person you thought you knew, and something cracks open inside you, something long buried. That's what happened to me. I never imagined I'd be staring across the room at Jason, my husband of so many years, and feel like a stranger in my own life. But that night, something shifted. The TV murmured softly in the background, the flickering screen casting a dull glow across the living room walls. And yet the silence between us felt louder than anything on that screen. He was there, physically, scrolling through his phone, lost in whatever digital world had become more interesting than mine. And I was there too, fingers absent-mindedly tugging at the edge of my sweater, drowning in thoughts I hadn't meant to let surface. The truth had been hovering around me for months, like smoke I couldn't quite wave away. Something was missing, not just in our marriage, but in me. A part of me had gone quiet, and that silence, that emptiness had a name. Michael. He had always been in the background of my mind. My first love, the one who made my heart pound like thunder in a summer storm. The one I let go, told myself was too reckless, too unpredictable, too dangerous to build a life with. I had convinced myself that choosing Jason was the adult decision. He was calm, steady, sweet. He didn't rattle me. He didn't burn too bright. But maybe that was a problem. I remember the first time I met Jason. It had felt like destiny, a gentle kind, like slipping into warm water after a long day. He made me feel safe, made me laugh softly, not wildly. I thought I needed that. I thought I needed calm after the chaos that Michael had stirred in me. But now, all these years later, I found myself looking back and asking if I had mistaken comfort for connection. Michael and I had ended after one of those fights where you both say things that can't be unsaid, about dreams, about futures, about who we were becoming. We walked away from each other like people fleeing a burning house, never quite realizing we'd built that fire together. But now, sitting in my quiet home, watching my marriage wilt into routine, I couldn't stop thinking about him. And then I said it. I didn't plan to. The words just slipped out like breath. I should have stayed with Michael. Jason looked up, slowly, his thumb pausing over his phone. There was no explosion, no shocked anger, just a stillness that unnerved me. His expression didn't change. He didn't ask why, didn't demand explanations. He just sat there for a moment, his eyes searching mine, and then he stood, grabbed his jacket from the hook by the door, and walked out without a word. The silence he left behind wasn't the same as before. It was heavier now, saturated with something final. I sat frozen, the air thick, my heart pounding. I hadn't expected him to leave, at least not like that, not with nothing. And yet some deep, aching part of me felt relieved, like something long denied had finally cracked open. The next few days passed in a blur. I called. He didn't answer. I texted. Nothing. Jason had vanished. And for the first time in years, I was alone in the house we had built together, alone with my guilt, my questions, my memories. Had I really chosen wrong all those years ago? Was Michael supposed to be the chapter one never should have closed? I didn't know. All I did know was that I couldn't stop reliving the person I used to be when I was with him. Back then, I had been wild too, full of dreams that had sharp edges and dangerous curves. I'd been alive. And maybe I had run from that version of myself when I chose Jason. The safe road, the clean lines, the predictable path. But safe had become suffocating. I started going through old photo albums, digging through drawers for letters, scrolling through ancient emails like a woman possessed. And with every image, every memory of Michael, I remembered more of myself. The girl who believed in love that made your bones ache. The one who danced barefoot in the rain and kissed with abandon. Then, one night, when the loneliness threatened to drown me, I picked up my phone. I didn't even think. My fingers just moved. I searched his name. Michael. And there it was, his profile. And a message. Hey, it's been a while. My heart nearly stopped. Just those 6 words. Simple. Quiet. And yet they shattered me. It had been so long. But he had reached out. I stared at the screen, unsure what to say. My breath was caught somewhere between panic and longing. Finally, I typed back, "Yeah, it really has." What followed was hours of messages. At first, casual, talking about life, work, how the years had treated us. But then it deepened. The conversation unfolded like a forgotten letter being read aloud. We spoke of the past, the fight, the feelings that never quite died. He told me about his travels, the places he'd seen, the people he'd met. His life had been everything mine hadn't, loud, unplanned, unfiltered. And I told him about mine, marriage, routine, the ache that had settled into my bones over the years. Neither of us asked about the other's current relationships. It didn't matter. Not then. The moment was its own world. And then he said it. I always wondered what would have happened if we had stayed together. That sentence hit me like a wave to the chest. I stared at it for what felt like an eternity, blinking away tears I hadn't realized were there. Then I typed back, "Me too." I felt it then. The clarity I'd been chasing for so long. I hadn't just lost Michael all those years ago. I had lost a piece of myself. I had built a life around the idea of what was right, what looked good on paper, what wouldn't hurt. But I had traded passion for predictability, and now I couldn't go back. Not to the echo of what Jason and I once were. Not to the hollow routines we had mistaken for love. Sometimes the cruelest truth is the one that sets you free. I don't know what will happen next. I don't know if Michael and I can find our way back to something real, or if too much time has passed. But I know this. I am no longer willing to live a life built on fear of chaos. Because maybe, just maybe, that chaos was the very thing I needed to feel alive.